Welcome back to the second episode of the Chris and Trish podcast. Sorry we were away for a little while, but we're back. Holidays happened, so we wanted to take a break. I'm Chris, and
And I'm Trish. And I'm so excited to be here and just talk again with you guys.
yes, okay, today we have a topic. I'm sure everybody has seen the documentary by now, but The Reckoning, the 50 Cent produced docu-series, or however you want to call it, about P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs. What did you think?
That was insane. I'm not going to lie to you. So, originally, I wasn't sure what to expect. As we know, Diddy and 50 Cent have a long standing feud. From what I've been told, it's because 50 Cent's mother's child ended up dealing with Puff Daddy later on. The one he called, I'm not going to say it on here just because, children might be watching, but he calls her something. And I believe that's where the feud may have stemmed from. However, with that being said, I thought it was going to be petty, right? And I thought that the documentary was going to really focus more on what we know from the charges. So, what he did to Cassie. But when I watched it, I was really impressed. I was
Right.
not only
Yes.
impressed by the storytelling, the fact that they went from the beginning. There were stories that I didn't really know about, from what he did in 91 with that basketball game. I had no idea that that even happened. I didn't really understand the connection between him and Tupac and how that all played out. I always heard rumblings, but I didn't know. And I think the documentary did a great job of sharing that. But what I was really, really impressed with was also who they chose to speak. So usually when I'm watching documentaries, right, you usually have journalists who are tapped in to give their expertise and their opinion. So it's kind of like a secondhand account. But I think what 50 Cent and the team did very well is that they actually had firsthand accounts. So they tapped in people who actually worked with Diddy and were around at that time to tell what happened. And I think it made it that much more credible. I was blown away. I watched all 4 episodes. I lost a lot of time because, again, I wasn't expecting to watch. I was like, oh, this is going to be petty. Like, we'll see what this is. But I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'm in this. It was great. What did you think?
I mean, of course, like in true 50 Cent fashion, we all thought, he's the king of petty. So we thought it was going to be, a bunch of jabs. But I think that it was an amazing, I mean, everything that he does, I'm not ashamed to say that I was addicted to the Power series, and I
Me
watch everything
too.
that he produces. But this was different. It was, I expected, secondhand accounts from journalists who have studied this thing from the beginning back in Tupac, and I remember when Tupac, I was alive back in those times when he passed away. And I remember when P. Diddy, or Puffy Combs at the time, was just kind of making his way on the scene. I remember all that. I was a younger girl, but I do remember the music and things like that. And so, everybody talked about him wanting to be the king, him wanting to be the team king, but lacking the musical talent. And so to see him kind of come up from being in the background in A&R to producing, and then being a rapper or music star, whatever you want to call it. I know it came at a great cost, but to see potentially, I say potentially, what his role was
Hmm.
in the alleged, you know, um, killing of Tupac and then of Biggie, it makes you kind of wonder why there hasn't been more investigation into his role. And, they say money talks, but I
Yeah.
think after watching this, every single person with any type of moral compass has to look at him. It wasn't just the producers, but
Mm.
I'm sorry, the Pac and Biggie. It was the people that he worked with. I was shocked at some of the things that came out, and I can't believe that people just allowed him to go on so long doing all these things. Every single person that he's dealt with, he was shady.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
if we take it all the way back, we talk about the freak offs and things like that. It seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like he was involved in this from a child all the way up, and he
Mhm.
learned this. And I think that he didn't find anything wrong with it, because he also then, after seeing it as a child and doing it himself, I heard and this is not the first account I heard, he brought his children into this lifestyle, his
Yes.
sons, and they were a part of these type of group, you know, sexual activities. And I, that is what is beyond my understanding, because why would you ever want your child involved in a sexual experience with you present? That's
So
disgusting.
strange. That is
Yeah.
so strange. I mean, the few points there, I think from what you were saying about how he came up in it, right? There are a few conspiracy theories out there that are trying to say that his mother was allegedly, all alleged, was actually not as innocent as she seemed, right? I know in the documentary they kind of touched on how Diddy himself was abused as a child, but they also spoke a little bit about how the mother was having these type of parties in the
Mm-hmm.
household, right? They spoke about the people that were there, from big basketball players to beautiful women. So they alluded to me to the fact that, like you said, he came up in this type of environment. But they also were saying, I came across a TikTok, TikTok is TikTok, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's a little truth to it, of a woman who was talking about how, and I've heard this a few times, that's not actually his mother. They were trying to say it's actually his aunt. And they were saying that that's probably why the relationship is like that. Don't know. They also claim that his father, I've heard two stories. One was saying that his father was a big kingpin in New York City. He worked
Mm-hmm.
for Frank Lucas. But then I heard something else that said actually no, his father was not a big kingpin. He was a low grade dealer. I'm not sure what that is about. But point is, they said his mother was very much part of that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that he himself thought it was normal. And then as well, I want to talk about like the industry, right? So as you know, I lived in LA for a while. I've worked in the entertainment industry for a little bit. And I remember having a lot of friends who worked for Diddy, right? And back in the day, it was very much seemed like a rite of passage to go through that, right? It's kind of like thinking about sororities and fraternities and hazing processes, right?
Yes.
People
Yes.
on the outside look at that and they're probably like, why would you go through that? Why would you put yourself through that? But when you're a part of the lifestyle, you understand like it's the rite of passage. You're supposed to. So, same thing with working for Diddy. I've heard so many stories back when I was in LA, and that wasn't too long ago, about just the environment there, right? Like, I'm not going to go, too much into detail, but now looking back, I'm like, oh, like that actually wasn't right.
Yes.
So I can totally understand because I've been seeing a lot of discourse as well of people saying, like, well, why did y'all stay? Why did you guys put yourselves through this? But at the same time, back then, people thought it was okay. They thought, again, it was part of the lifestyle. If you want to like be, part of this group, you want to be elite, part of the industry, you need to go through this process.
Right.
But
Right.
nobody was there to check him because he
Right.
really created that type of environment. So I can totally understand why nobody really stopped him. So I really do look at him a lot differently now. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you peeped that tattoo he has on his back. Did you see that?
I didn't see it until after we talked, but yes, I went and looked.
Yes. So if you guys aren't aware, so I'm Haitian American. Parents were born in Haitian, so first generation born, Sakpase Nula. So Diddy has a tattoo of a woman on his back. And it's not just any woman, but it's actually a voodoo deity called Ezruli, I believe. And she is the I guess you could say, protector of women and children. So I'm not sure why he thought that he should get this woman on his back, but many people who are in that type of spiritual lifestyle say the reason why things are probably like coming to a pause for him now and finally like getting him is because he went and put that woman on his back. That woman, again, is a protector of women and children. Therefore, if you harm women and children, she's going to get you, right?
Yep.
Just a little hoodooism that I saw out there. And I'm not sure, how true it is, but he definitely has that on his back. And I could probably link a picture so you guys can see it for yourselves. But it's huge. It's humongous. Like it's hard to not notice it.
Yeah, he's a little sneaky snake, because in addition to that, we think about, I don't want to upset anybody, but we think about the accusations that have come out. And we know Diddy's a sneaky snake. The way that he slid in on other people's girls, and the shady music deals and things like that that he did. But another thing is, I remember when the beautiful, beautiful Kim Porter passed away, and there
Gorgeous.
was so much speculation about
Yes.
what could have been. And we never, that's one thing that when they started speaking about her, I was very surprised that nobody brought up. And I'm sure that they didn't want to take away from what the actual film was about. But I am surprised that they didn't touch more on that because, in my thoughts, and I don't know all the details, but in my thoughts, I think that the idea that he may have had something to do with her passing is something that should be looked into. We see that when people cross him, when people want to get away from him, he makes things bad for them. He does not want to lose power. And I always think about these people who get into these situations where he essentially made himself. He created a different image of himself. And I'm all for people rebranding, but to be this dweeb, like they said he was. I'm just
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
their words. If he was this kind of person, and then to blow up into what he was just a monster. And once he became too powerful, he could not be stopped. And I think the people around him were kind of like, whoa, it just happened so fast. I
Yeah.
hear people talk about the transition, but it seems like they just looked up and one day he was this big, powerful guy. And there was a guy that worked for him, that his original business partner, when he said they came in there with that baseball bat, I can't help but to think, I mean, what do you do at that point? I keep it on me right here in my drawer. That's what, you pull it out and you defend yourself. But I
Yeah.
mean, again, I think people just blinked, and before they knew it, he was just at the top of the game. But all the people that he had to take out
Yeah.
along the way, that's that throwing the rock and hiding your hand type situation. We all know that, they said, say the quiet part out loud. We all know that he had probably something to do with Pac and Biggie, if nothing else. I mean, people are saying it now. People are saying it now. And for those people, you know, I would be a little bit nervous for when he gets out of jail, because
Yeah.
surprisingly,
One of my homegirls said that. She said, he didn't get life, right? These
yes,
people are
yes, these people are
freaking
talking
out.
like he's not going to come out of jail. And surprisingly, even with all the overwhelming evidence, even with these people saying all of these things, these are not strangers off the streets. These are
No.
people who were side by side with him. These people saying this, um, he's going to come out, but he still has people who support him, people who are dying hard behind him. And
Yeah.
those are the things I kind of be like, mm, you
Side
know,
eye, but you never know. I think that now, because it's out there, right, that it's kind of weakening his position. Because before, like you said, it was quiet, it was hush hush, like people were really under his gaze. But now there's so many people who are like, oh, like, I know what time you're on. So if
right,
someone were to go missing or to get hurt after he comes out, it's going to be very obvious who did it. Like, you can no longer just do this anymore. And when it going back to the Kim Porter of it all, like, I too remember when that happened, and people were like, yeah, it seems like he has something to do with it, because they were claiming that she allegedly had some tell-all book that
mm-hmm,
she was going to
yes,
drop, and they claim that the pneumonia that she allegedly passed away from came out of nowhere, right? And someone else had said it was kind of weird that he had her casket already, like, it was like a beautiful casket, was already in the works before she had passed. This is all allegedly, and again, conspiracy theories. So it's strange. But then we also have Albie Shore, right, who claims he had survived a Diddy attack,
mm-hmm,
because remember, there was a time period when he got really, really sick, and
right,
he claims that it was Diddy who tried to take him out. And Albie Shore, if people aren't aware, is the father of Kim Porter's son Quincy,
mm-hmm,
who calls Diddy dad, or refers to Diddy as dad. But Albie Shore and Kim Porter were together before Diddy came into the picture. So you have someone who's a survivor, alleged survivor, who also was in the documentary. So I don't think that we're a little, I hope someone investigates. That's another thing. I hope that with this documentary being out, that more comes out of it. And I hope that, people, or I should say police, investigate, and they charge him with more because I didn't realize how many things he got away with until I watched a documentary and they were showing the timeline. It was like 91, then this, the J-Lo thing, or excuse me, the thing with the forgetting his name right now, when he went and he beat up the other executive, and then the J-Lo thing. It was like back to back to back.
Yeah,
This man was in the headlines. Now, as far as supporters, I think we should definitely touch on these male entertainers who are speaking out. And to me, it seems that the male entertainers who are now coming out, it's not really about Diddy. It's more so they have beef with 50 Cent. So, for
right.
instance, Ja Rule has come out and it's putting out like all these articles claiming that 50, you're no better than Diddy. You've also are a domestic abuser. And then you also have Marlon Wayans who came out and basically said that, well, he said a few things, but it started off as him telling 50, like, hey, karma, because you're not exactly clean either. Now they're going back and forth. Then Ray J had said something where it wasn't directly to Diddy, but kind of like, why did all these people stay? And my problem I have with these men now speaking out about these things, it's like, this is not the time. Like, I
Yeah,
understand you have beef with 50, but this is not the time for you to now try to come for him because he is not like Diddy already was charged. So it wasn't like he was trying to, you know, get justice, but he was trying to make people see who Diddy actually is.
right.
And also, there have been so many other white executive producers. TMZ did something about Diddy. And there are
Yeah,
other ones who've come out, and this is not the first doc about Diddy. So why is it when a black man does it, now they're catching flack? Like, what is this crabs in a barrel mentality that we don't say anything? When you don't
yeah,
say
yeah.
anything, things continue to happen. So why is it now we're speaking out and we're having an issue when a black guy does it? Yes,
And
it's
it's
50%, but what is the issue?
well, the issue is that it is 50 Cent. That's what the issue is. And
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, no man is clean and innocent, but I think that the way that 50 Cent has grown his career and the things that he puts his efforts into, we all knew that he had a beef with Diddy, but also it wasn't just the beef. I think he genuinely saw that what he was doing was an issue. And I
Yeah.
think that people did not want to speak out and people didn't want to talk about it. So once things started to progress, he said, you know what, let's put this all on the forefront. And then to also add to the mystery that people were, we just saw Keefe D get arrested in the last few years. This all happened back in the 90s, and so when I think about the things that have gone on for all this time, when the guy said they pulled up and they shot Pac and that Suge Knight literally saw them, well, he's in jail now, but there was an interview where they asked him, like, if you knew who did it, would you say something? And I literally thought what he was going to say, absolutely, and then he said no. I was like, this,
Street
like, what
rules.
the hell?
Street
But
rules.
yeah, I mean, some people would say, Suge Knight started all this when he went up on, on the awards, but then I see Diddy again. He's playing the long game. He comes on there trying to be the saint and says, unlike y'all, I don't want beef, I don't want drama, I want to congratulate everybody. But in the background, he's like, we got to get these dudes. We got to
Yeah.
get, and that's how he rose to fame. He was killing all the, not the ops, but the obstacles. Anything that was in front of him, he was like, it's got to go. And now we see Suge in jail. We see Keefe D in jail, which no doubt he probably had a role in it, as he says.
Absolutely.
But who's here to tell the truth? Everybody else is gone or scared, or you know what I mean? All these people,
Absolutely.
the guy that got it in the bathroom, you know what I mean? That these
Mhm.
people, if you weren't scared before and you heard the stories, that's one thing. But then for it to actually happen to you, then that's a whole nother story. And if you have people that you love or you care about, you're gonna kind of keep quiet. You're gonna take the money and run, or you're just gonna be quiet and get the hell out of Dodge because you don't want those problems for your family. So I do believe that there's more to the stories, but I am interested to know. I mean, like 50 Cent said, he will never give up his sources, but I'm interested to know how these people held on to these secrets all this time. If they were talking, trying to get someone to listen, or if it just took Mr. Jackson to come out and ask them for the information for them to give
That's
it
a
up.
good question. I wonder the same thing. So what I'm thinking is that there are power in numbers, and I
Mhm.
think you're right. I do think it took the right person. 'Cause I feel like some of these people have been saying these things. For instance, his business partner like filed a lawsuit a while ago
Right, right,
saying these things where he talked about Bad Boy being a criminal enterprise, but it didn't go anywhere. And the first woman that he or one of the many of the first woman he assaulted, she said something. So I think what we're seeing though now is just like that power in numbers. We're
right,
seeing all these people now in one space saying the same thing rather than everyone kind of, in a silo working and trying to say things. So I think what 50 Cent was able to do, and I definitely want to give credit to the producer because, 50 Cent was the executive producer, but there was a woman. I need to find her name. She did she did that.
right.
Uh
Yeah.
being able to bring all these voices together, that collective power, I think that made it that much more powerful and all their stances really because even is it Aubrey or Audrey? Aubrey O'Day, the
Yes.
woman from Danity Kane, she's been saying this, right?
Yep.
It just
Yep.
takes us having all these people in one place for it to feel a little bit more powerful. Now, what I want to see happen next is that, I don't agree with people harassing the children, right? I believe that it's not your fault you were born into this, right?
Right.
A lot of people have been also criticizing the mothers of the children, like Misa, right? Like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, why are you not saying anything? But I think what we need to remember is that that is her child, right? Justin is
Absolutely.
her child. So she's going to protect her child. So I think, but I remember back in, because there were a few stories they didn't put in there, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot more. I remember when I lived in LA, Justin, I believe, was at UCLA, and there was an incident with a coach. He played on the football team. There was an incident with the coach where Diddy went and like disagreed with something and threw a kettlebell at the coach and they made it go away because I think they like settled or whatever. And I also remember there was an instance like maybe 2 years ago when Justin was stopped for a DUI and Misa went on IG and she spoke out saying like, this needs to stop. This is not right, blah, 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 blah. So she has spoken out. I think just right now, because her son was showing up at the courthouse and very much in solidarity with his dad,
Right.
it would look kind of wrong for her to, say something different. So she had to choose to be a mother. That's just my opinion. Not saying it's right, but for those who are criticizing and wondering why why she's not saying anything. But I think that people should kind of cool it. Like with the twins, for instance, they're young girls. They've
Yeah.
lost their mother. Now their father's in something. Like I see that they turned off their comments on TikTok. I felt so bad. They had posted something. It's also like, maybe you shouldn't be posting right now. But I understand also just having to live your life. But they posted something. Oh my gosh, Chris, those comments were insane. People were sending pictures of 50 Cent. People were trolling. Like, these are children, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think children, even though they're grown, they're still kids. They didn't ask to be born into that. They didn't tell their dad
Right.
to do that.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
that's not their fault.
Yeah, I think kids should be off limits. And I mean, unfortunately, people hide behind keyboards and they say what they want to
Oh,
say.
yeah, keyboard
And
thug.
as much as I would love to have the money and the recognition in the industry, I would be terrified to have, like I
Yeah.
would be terrified because, even the most innocent thing is going to be dragged out in front of the world when you become anybody. And I'm looking down at my phone, but this song by Eminem, I have to bring that up because it was released last year. And I know people, so last year when Keefe D was arrested, we were doing a live on social media. Everybody was kind of talking about it. And then as the days and the weeks went on, someone, when we were talking about it, they brought up this song that Eminem did. Have you heard it? It's called Fuel.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So there's a song, there's a part in there. I have to find it. Okay. I'm not going to rap it because I'm not a rapper, but
Please.
in this in this song, maybe you can add a clip. In this song, he says, um, it says, I'm like a rapper, Raper. So many essays. essays. Wait, he didn't just spell out the word rapper and leave out a p.diddy. So
People have been talking about this for a while. Everybody knows. Like, we're just
yes,
finding out. But
but
I do believe people like what the fact that that was just out there like that. People
yes,
know.
yes. And then it goes on to say, RIP, rest in peace, Biggie and Pac. Both of y'all should be living. But I ain't trying to beef with him because he might put out a hit on me like Keefy D.
You see?
I'm telling you, it just kind of goes to, we've all heard the whispers,
Yeah.
but the elephant in the room was just going to stay there and be silent until somebody had the gall to do it. And I think 50 Cent, we all know, one thing that I would never want to do is beef with 50 Cent.
No, ever. No.
Ever.
I'll
Because
take my L. Like you
yeah,
win.
he's not going to stop. He's
I
not going to
love
stop.
him.
I love him too. That's one of those things that the truth, they say what's said in the dark will come to the
Yeah.
light. And I think it was already out there. They just needed, like you said, their strength in numbers, and then they just needed somebody to spearhead this. I think that if we think that it's over right here with this tell all, I think that we're sadly mistaken, because I think that there's people who still have a lot to say. And I
Yeah.
think now that it's out there in the open, I think people will start speaking up. The jurors that they pulled from court,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we'll
No
just leave it at
comment.
that, you know? So I don't know. I just think that it was a well composed project, but I think
I
that
agree.
this was just the start to something else. And I want to just issue a warning to, oh, wait, did you see that allegedly they sent, it was supposedly P. Diddy sent 50 Cent flowers?
Yeah, funeral arrangement flowers, which is insane. Which is insane. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think we're just beginning. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's not over yet. I think, like we mentioned already, like he didn't get a life sentence. Like that man will be out like soon. And we shall see what happens when he comes out. But I do hope that with this, more women and whoever else has been a victim of him can get some justice, because some have been screaming this from the hilltops for a long time.
Yeah.
And some may have been too afraid to say something. But I think now is, we're going to see a change.
Yeah.
And I was always nervous, just to wrap it up. I know that before I was like, he might come out and pull like a Russell Simmons and move to like Bali somewhere, or he might become like a secret investor and, still reclaim his riches. But I think now with this out, I don't know what that legacy. There's some people who are still behind him, but the world is watching and they're very much aware. Like it's deep. It is very, very deep. So I don't wish ill on anyone.
Right.
However, I do believe in justice.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
maybe he'll turn. I don't know. Maybe turn into a pastor or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I don't think that's a safe career for him to be in.
Maybe we shall see what happens. But yeah,
Well,
well,
he's got money. I mean, he's got money. He was smart about his investments and the way that he
yeah,
listed his assets and things like that. He put stuff in other people's names so that
yeah.
he knew that it could be safe. So I think that, I don't know how much redemption there is
Hmm.
for him, because I mean, he's pretty violent.
Yeah.
The video of Cassie alone
Oh,
was too much to handle. So what other people are saying, the way that he's exposed these women and the things that he's done to them,
yeah.
I think about when that lady came out and said that he was playing the tape for people. I always think about Paid in Full, when
Mhm.
Cameron put the movie up or whatever, and he was showing. But this is all stuff. When we look and we hear this, these are all little pieces that we've seen recreated in little movies and TV shows and things like that. So we know it's real. Now we
Yeah, I
just
mean,
know
that
where
came
the
from
original.
Alpo because that was real, like,
Yeah,
because Paid in Full was based off of, was I think it's Alpo
yeah,
in
yeah,
Harlem, and that's who they said Diddy was trying to be like.
yep,
So it
yep,
all makes sense, like, we've all seen this before, but
yep.
we shall see. If anyone has any thoughts, definitely feel free to leave comments. This conversation is gonna be ongoing because it's not over yet.
Right.
Again, he's not serving life. The man will be out.
In just
So
a few years.
just a few years, we shall
Yeah,
see what happens. But again, I don't wish ill will on anyone. So praying for all involved and even for his soul, because it's deep. It's really, really deep. He's hurt a lot of people, and you always reap what you sow. So
Yeah.
praying for him and his family. But this was a great conversation. If you haven't watched
Absolutely.
it, it is on. This is not sponsored, by the way, but if you haven't watched it, the documentary is on Netflix.
Yes.
It is great. 4 episodes, definitely worth the watch and definitely worth the discussion. But yeah, this was a great episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, Chris
Yep.
and
And
Trish.
Mr. Jackson, if you want to come on and have a deeper
Yes,
conversation about this, come on over. Okay.
we would
So,
love to have you because we have a lot of thoughts. This was amazing. All right, we'll see you guys next week for more. Thank you guys so much for
yeah.
tuning in, and make sure you subscribe, comment, and share this with your friends because we are not stopping. We have a lot more to talk about.
Yes. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, yes.